Roman Sablin is one of the millions of young hopefuls who came to Moscow in search of success, wealth, and fame. At the age of 26, he was already in charge of the PR division of a major corporation.
Drinking coffee on one of the top floors and looking down at a city sprawling below, it was an exhilarating experience. You got a sense that everything was in your power, that you were part of such a big, mighty brand as Moscow.
By 30, he'd gotten married, fathered a child, and been divorced. But one day he realized that all of his ambitions were ultimately pointless. The successful PR specialist suddenly knew that he himself had fallen victim to a massive PR campaign.
I was getting nowhere in my life. It was a monotonous, drab existence of women, wine, and shopping, and then came a new cycle of women, wine, and shopping, and it just went on and on. A big city is a matrix that siphons off energy. It's all about money and routine office work.
They browse shop windows as if in a trance. Shopping is their drug. They suffer from a grave form of addiction, but these young women prefer to be up to their ears in debt rather than give up their insatiable appetite.
I can't possibly pass by a beautiful dress. I often say to myself, don't squander money. I drop in a shop just to look around, but leave it with a bag full of goods. I've spent all my money, but I feel good. Indeed, I'm happy.
Olga is 31 years old. She works as a clerk for $1,000 a month and rents a single-room flat where she lives with her boyfriend. But her idea of happiness goes far beyond the small apartment.
I'd like to have a big house and the opportunity to work for myself or my husband at my own company. I'd like to have enough money to buy anything I want.
Olga's dreams are fueled by advertising. In a society bent on consumption, everybody is supposed to think alike and go on a buying spree without a second thought about why they are buying something. Roman Sablin no longer wanted to be part of the rat race. He set up a so-called eco-loft with like-minded friends. The group rents a run-down communal flat not far from the Kremlin. The idea is to use it as the springboard for a radically new lifestyle. They formed an anti-consumer community with the motto, reduce, reuse, recycle.
You can make a bicycle out of 670 recycled tins. And you can save 650 kilograms of oil by recycling 1 ton of plastics.
The young men take containers loaded with plastics, glass, paper, and metal to a recycling station. It's not normal in Russia to separate garbage. Roman and his friends are guided by the wisdom of the Indian guru Mahatma Gandhi. He urged people to bring about the sort of change they wanted to see in the world. Roman has given up his prestigious corporate job. Now his mission is to show others the way to a clean lifestyle.
When I moved here, I found there wasn't enough space for all my stuff, so I allowed others to use some of the things. Even that didn't make much of a dent. I sold a few things, but gave most of it away.
Hi, glad to see you girls.
Hi.
Hi.
Everybody's wearing new things, handbags and shoes.
As usual.
I'm not ready at all. I've got nothing to wear.
Olga could clothe an entire neighborhood with the dresses and skirts in her closet. Most of them she has only worn once.
I need a different pair of shoes to match every dress. These shoes don't match any of them. I rush to a shop as soon as I get my salary. I can spend it all then and there. Several shopping sprees certainly empty my pockets. For example, I spent my entire salary on a pair of awesome shoes made of eel skin. These beautiful things are so classy and comfortable. I just couldn't pass them by when I saw them.
A shopaholic is someone who will stand in front of a full closet, firmly believing that there is nothing to wear. These people relieve nervous tension by heading to the mall, but often regret making the purchases afterwards. Each Friday after work, hundreds of strangers get together at this plaza to give and take gifts. A new social networking site offers everything from t-shirts to washing machines for free, all contributed by users. The idea is that the people who keep unnecessary things or normally throw them away can give them to others instead.
My kid played with it, and now we want to give it to someone else.
You can make a gift of some service, a museum tour, a haircut, a manicure, anything.
A community of donors has created a virtual second-hand shop, giving things away free of charge. A utopia created with the help of modern technology could become a reality if millions, rather than hundreds, behave in the same manner.
If you've accepted something as a gift, you must be thankful for it and must feel you are duty-bound to do likewise and share what you have with somebody else. It's your inner sense of responsibility that must prompt you to do so without being prodded by anyone.
Site creator Maxim Karakulov is a product manager and professional economist by training. When he was still a university student, he came to the conclusion that there should be alternatives when it comes to money and trade. Daria is a fashionable woman without any worries when it comes to money. She joined the community to bring a stop to her hoarding habits. She began by giving away clothes, and she liked giving gifts so much that she began offering things that were less material. At one point, she posted a notice inviting people to share a trip to the countryside with her.
She wrote that she was sick and tired of spending all her weekends in the city and mentioned that anyone who wants to head out of town is welcome to do so in her car. There's a cool video attached.
There was a huge response. Many said they liked the idea, but my plan wasn't just to pass the time with people. So I told them I'd already found some fellow travelers. But Maxim turned up anyway. I already knew he was the guy behind the gift site. So the opportunity to meet him intrigued me.
She would be fresh from the beauty salon, sporting a new dress and stiletto heels. Meanwhile, he'd be wearing large glasses and corduroy trousers, along with an impressively untidy head of hair. But that was all 3 years ago.
I was, well, pretty scruffy, wasn't I? As for Daria, I'd never noticed such glamorous girls driving around in such posh cars.
They came from different social spheres and had no common interests aside from the desire to improve the world, if only just a little. 2.5 years later, Maxim and Daria got married.
We wanted to break the mold in order to create a mechanism to allow for people to exchange ordinary everyday things. But when others joined the project to give it inspiration, I saw, well, from my own experience, that not only were people exchanging things, they were also interacting. They were eager to meet in order to get rid of things they no longer needed. Each gift is a sign of sympathy for a stranger. That's what's most important.
Wholesale shortages in Russia gave way to a consumer boom about a decade ago. At a time when you can buy anything you like, Olga and her friends don't understand why they should wear secondhand clothes and deny themselves life's pleasures.
I'm taking these young pine trees that have already fallen to the ground to build a teepee in the Native American style. Any leftovers from the construction would be used as firewood.
A month ago, Alexei Shershov, his wife, and their 3 sons left Moscow to live in a forest. Now their home consists of a teepee dwelling and a small sleeping tent. They buy food in a nearby village, the forest provides them with fuel, and they get water from a spring. Solar batteries are their main source of electricity. Alexei intends to build warm quarters for his family before the onset of winter. Next on the docket is an eco-hotel.
We want to take this land on lease from the local authorities and build an ecological center which will take care of people living with psychological disorders. The natural environment of this place will allow guests to recover from stress, recuperate, and forget about their traumatic experiences and in general get a new lease of life.
Alexei and Rufina came to Moscow from a provincial town in search of a better life. They found employment with a leading magazine and rented a flat in the city center. But their first son was born with an illness, and they had no wish to stuff him with modern medication, choosing instead to cut out chemicals from their daily life.
I was overjoyed to know that I had cast away a heavy load of totally unnecessary things, such as having to adhere to certain rules, live up to the expectations of society, conform to accepted notions of high class or the middle class, and so on and so forth. What's the difference? You need to be what you are rather than put on a show.
Alexei still travels to Moscow for work. After giving up his magazine job, he went into the business of giving apartments ecological facelifts. This means using clay solutions with coloring agent instead of synthetic paints. And a mixture of paper, sand, and clay replaces plaster. Natural materials are only just beginning to be fashionable in Russia, so Alexei hasn't got many customers so far. But for him, it's not just business. It's a life philosophy.
The plasterwork in this room is uneven throughout. It follows the roughness of the walls. Regardless of appearances, it will last. Plastering the walls in a natural kind of way helps us save materials and time.
Alexei refuses to be defined as an idealist. On the contrary, he thinks people need to be as progressive as he is. For instance, he's used a combination of old and new technologies to make the first brick for his eco-hotel.
I'm turning this plastic bottle into a brick. To do this, I'll fill the insides with warm clay. Then I cover it with a mixture of clay, straw and hemp. Then, finally, before it dries out, we wrap steel mesh around it to give it some extra strength.
The idea that children need a lot of money is a myth. What they really need are healthy and happy parents, the kind that provide them with tender love and care.
Alexei and Rufina hope that these simple truths will be obvious to their children. Don't fear starting from scratch. Don't be ashamed of being unfashionable. And you don't have to rely on money.
This is what life is like in a forest.
Many see us as living to the extreme or think that we're just plain crazy because we have no proper home. But when we found ourselves in this forest, I felt so calm, self-assured, at ease, and happy that I realized that I hadn't experienced anything like it for a long time.
Former PR director Roman Sablin used to earn $3,000 a month. Now he's learned to make do with not more than $300. 6 months ago, he met a shopaholic named Lyubov. The young woman likened her training session with Roman, called How to Live a Thrifty Life, to visiting a psychotherapist. As soon as Lyubov gave up her addiction, the two began living together.
It was only until quite recently that we would be cramming our supermarket trolleys full. Obviously, it was more convenient that way, because if you completely stuff the fridge, then you have no worries on that front. But the trouble is that this lifestyle generates lots of rubbish, especially plastic containers.
Here you're treated like a customer. You can even taste the food.
Unlike in supermarkets, here you're not pestered with advertisements telling you to buy things in this particular place or urging you to buy 3 items instead of 1.
They eat at home rather than going to restaurants or cafes. Instead of visiting clubs, they spend time with friends who, like them, don't smoke or drink. They prefer to look forward to the future.
We've got rid of the electric kettle in favour of a stovetop one with a whistle. Electric kettles waste a lot of electricity.
Detergent has given way to mustard powder. Roman makes 5-kilo bricks from plastic containers. They can be used in eco-construction.
Such bottles can be used to help build fences. They're wrapped in steel mesh and concrete is poured over them. They'll last 300 years.
To this day, Lyubov is still tossing out unnecessary reminders of her past.
A strappy top I bought a couple of years ago is one example of shopping addiction. I haven't put it on once. In the past 6 months or so, I've even given away more than 50 enormous bags filled with all sorts of things, to say nothing of shoes, clothes and various other things.
Bags are taken to a charity called Spasiba, which collects secondhand goods. Lyubov and Roman help out as volunteers, and they also buy clothes for next to nothing.
It's a skirt with a long history.
I like it.
I like it too. It's made a comeback because I've lost weight.
Roman has been trying to visualize how they will leave town to settle somewhere close to nature. But he's not sure Lyubov is ready for that. She thinks this kind of escapism would just be another romantic adventure.
The question is not what you want to escape from, it's where you settle down that's important. You should aim to find a space where you're free to build a house, chop firewood, things like that. Money shouldn't be an issue. It'll work itself out. You can get by in different ways, but above all we must overcome our fears and weaknesses.
Kicking the shopping habit is hard. One radical method is to go cold turkey and just go someplace where there are no shops. Olga has agreed to conduct an experiment by spending a day in the forest far from shopping.
Welcome to our forest. Guests can sleep here in this tent. You too can spend the night on this soft, cozy bed inside.
Alexei and Rufina welcome Olga to their Ego Hotel, even though it's still under construction. They want to show her that you don't need that much to be happy.
So these are your clothes?
Yes. I haven't worn any of these shirts and suits since I brought them from the city.
You know, you don't have much.
Well, yeah, but I actually never even wear these few things. Here, you don't need an iron to iron something. If you want to smooth out a shirt, you just take an ordinary garden sprinkler, spray the shirt evenly, and expose it to the sun and wind.
Olga begins to suffer from withdrawal after only a couple hours of fresh air.
I don't really want to stay here any longer. I want to go home.
The session of natural treatment has not helped Olga. The fact is that anyone wishing to beat shopping addiction will need every bit of determination they can muster. All that Olga wants now is to buy a new pair of shoes and forget about her nightmarish adventure into the forest. Guests pay with time, not money, for the delicacies served in this restaurant. Ideally, each guest is supposed to pay back with a service provided to a stranger. These services are advertised on the International Time Bank site.
Anyone can open an account in our bank and post an ad. You can see some of them on the board. Money is an odd abstraction. It creates the impression that you can buy anything you like with it. When I pay you money for something, I'm quite oblivious to the fact that you're a human being. Once I've paid the money, I'm no longer responsible for anything as far as you're concerned. Nor do you have any claims on me. But I'm always mindful of the fact that I'm dealing with a human being. That's when we exchange something apart from money.
The Time Food Restaurant is a temporary art installation. But for some, the concept of bartering has become key to survival in the midst of a global economic crisis.
Let's begin our lesson.
English teacher Tatiana Shusova is a VIP customer of the Time Bank. She earns an average of 25 hours a month by teaching English to private students. Tatiana can exchange those hours for any of the services listed in the bank's database.
Among other things, they've made repairs to my kitchen. I've also ordered a manicure, pedicure, and cleaning service. I have no problems with this, although I believe my service as a private tutor costs more.
Natalia, a retired naval architect, tidies up her teacher's flat as payment for 2 hours of tuition.
Studying English has been my lifelong ambition. It's all the more important at a time when people visit foreign countries and there are a lot of resources available in foreign languages. Now that I'm retired, my pension can't cover the cost of such lessons.
Roman persuaded Lyubov to leave the city to see how it feels when you don't have money. For both of them, it's truly a departure from their previous lives.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
The man is so tired, he's collapsed. Are you still alive?
Yeah, let's go. It's just slippery.
They have come to help build an eco-settlement 250 kilometers from Moscow. The number of people wishing to escape from the bustle of the metropolis has been growing lately.
Hey there.
The land for the project has been leased from the government, free of charge, for 49 years. It's hoped that a whole community with its own farms will settle here within the year.
People believe that if you want to build a house, you need to buy all the necessary building materials. But in fact, there's no need to buy anything at all. You can find everything locally. There are plans to create an education center here for tourists. People will come here with their children to take in the air and taste the local honey.
Roman and Lyubov go through a lengthy ordeal in their first attempts to find their place in the world after leaving behind urban comforts.
Darling, I found some firewood.
It needs to be dried out first. Oh look, there's ants. I hate ants.
We're creating the opportunity for people to come here and see for themselves that life is possible outside the city.
Their enthusiasm lasts a week. Lyubov is now missing her mother, a hot shower, and her cozy warm bed. Roman has decided he's not yet ready to leave civilization. He has unfinished business in the city, teaching people how to live in harmony with nature and fighting a harmful addiction called consumerism.